It is wild to think that we are already at the season finale of Natsume's Book of Friends, season 5. It's Romania Black, and that's such a weird thing to say, but it's true. We are on episode 11 of season 5, the end of this season. It feels weird because I know we have season 6 and we have season 7 and we have OVAs and possibly other things as well. I don't know past the OVAs yet. I've got to look here in a week or so, but it feels like we've turned a corner and we're starting to get closer to being caught up, but it still feels so far away. It's just bizarre. It's the weirdest feeling. And I don't want to think too much about it because I'm going to be really sad when I am caught up. So I'm trying not to think about it too much anyway. But yeah, I have a lot of comments to talk about with episode 8, which is the one of Notoria Matoba. Are you surprised? I have a lot to talk about with that, and then I have a comment that goes along with episode 9. So so after this week, we do have a couple OVAs that I've been told go along. It's on Crunchyroll, so the OVAs are included with season 5, so it's not that much of a surprise. But I've just noticed them there. I don't know their titles or what they're about, obviously. And then while I start the OVAs, I will be looking at the manga for season 5, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm super excited. So let's dive into these episode comments, starting with episode 8. There's so much about episode 8. So, I'm going to say your name wrong, and I'm sorry. I'm going to try to say it right, though. Zuriker Joseph says, poor Matoba, though, constantly snubbed by powerful blondes. Natsume can be a bit oblivious and maybe even cocky about this. It's like he feels he can talk to any and every yokai, human rules be damned. He doesn't seem to be aware of and or care about social rules. Again, it could be either ignorance or refusal, but Natsume is more afraid of talking to humans, whereas he can't stop himself from speaking to yokai. I feel like the last couple episodes, though, have really drove home of why that might be for Natsume. And I kind of talked about this a little bit in the comment, and I've talked about this the last couple of episodes. I feel like, especially in the episode where Natsume saw the one yokai being ordered around and everything, and Natsume was treated like a yokai, I think Natsume relates to the yokai in a way because he sees them being oppressed and he kind of has experienced that himself. And the thing about it is, he's been oppressed by other humans. So Natsume's grown up being shuffled from house to house, being mentally and physically, as the manga has told us, abused by his own family, even if they were distant. And so I feel like when he sees the yokai, he knows that they lash out, but he kind of feels a little bit like that himself. He's like, I've wanted to lash out. I've wanted to fight back, but I haven't. And I think he kind of relates a little bit to the yokai, maybe more than the humans around him, which is wild, which is insane. But that's kind of my interpretation of it. Now, obviously, since the start of this series, he's been around other people that are a better source of positivity for him, but I still think that he finds a lot in common with the yokai, and that's kind of why he wants to be a mediator for him, and I don't blame him, you know? I just thought that was really cool, so thank you for that comment. Sparata6232 says, I agree that Matoba is telling Notori that his thinking is too convoluted. Matoba is kind of the most straightforward guy around. He says what he thinks, and he doesn't even lie that much to get Notori and Natsume on his side, which may be why he has no chance of ever convincing them to be join his clan. Yeah, Matoba being so straightforward, I really would love Notori to be Matoba's friend, which we'll talk about that with another comment here in a minute. With Natsume just doesn't like Matoba. And I feel like whereas Notori kind of understands where Matoba's coming from, and again, there's another comment that I'm going to talk about that addresses this, I feel that Natsume just does not get Matoba's perspective. And if he does, he doesn't agree with it. And Natsume, we talked about how Notori and Natsume are so similar, but the reality is also that Notori is a little bit more maybe kind of insecure about himself. And Natsume, even though Natsume will hurt himself for others, I feel like Natsume is a little bit more self-assured. He may get a little down on himself and he may be willing to hurt himself, but I think he is less insecure than Notori, oddly enough. But we'll see where that goes. But I thought that, yeah, Matoba needs friends is basically the goal of this. I don't know if Natsume is going to become Matoba's friend or not. I don't know, but maybe Notori can. Who knows? And then DJ Laxma says, I liked this comment a lot, by the way. I really like how Tanama and Natsume's connection parallels to the past Notori and Matoba dilemma, in which both Tanama and Matoba are trying to reach out and be helpful to their counterparts who react quite differently. I like this. Natsume tries to distance himself, not to trouble Tanama, but he gradually opens up to his help, while Notori, on the other hand, strictly rejects it and thinks their paths are too different. And that kind of relates to why I think Notori kind of looks up to Natsume, because Notori kind of acknowledges to Natsume, he's like, I am a coward. I will run away and I do isolate myself. He's like, because I just can't do it. And he's like, you, on the other hand, you do open yourself up, whether it's to connect to the yokai or whether it's to try to understand Tanama. He's like, you need this support because you are going to be able to overcome and do what I could not. And I think that's so crazy. Also, the idea of Tanama and Matoba having connections in this world is just wild, right? But I really loved that comparison. I was like, I hadn't thought of it that way. And I was like, yeah, they are kind of similar in that sense. Now, Lualba, your comment, it sent me. It sent me completely, this comment that they had about that final scene by the river with Matoba and Notori. Because I had been wondering about that scene and being like, okay, what's people's interpretations? Their comment was amazing. They said, in the last part when Notori sees Matoba by the river, in my language, it was translated as, quote, I'm glad he is far away. I don't want to see his face, even if he is smiling like he always does, or if he's feeling down or sad. Why is that? I feel I would be disappointed, end quote. So then they said, which made me think that's what he's saying here. He's glad he can't see the more human side of Matoba because it's easier to hate someone who is full of himself. And this makes sense with the previous scene where he overhears people talking about the Matoba eye curse, but decides to ignore it. And so that spoke to me so much because, yeah, it's easier to villainize people. I've watched so many anime and I've seen this in real life. I've seen this in fiction, but it's so much easier to villainize a group of people than to try to understand them. Because if you try to understand them, then suddenly you'll realize that they have complications just like you do. And it may not be, you may be the one in the wrong villainizing them in that sense. But then they added on to this comment saying, maybe he feels that they could be close given the right opportunity. But at the same time, he doesn't want to risk something. He doesn't want to risk of someday thinking like he does, given how little experience he has now in the exorcist world. And that just floored me because, yeah, it's the idea that Notori is afraid if he gets to know Matoba, he's going to feel bad for him and he's going to be tempted to side with Matoba. But also Notori is showing so much restraint, being like, I don't understand the exorcist world all the way. I don't want to let you into this world because I don't want to risk becoming like you and thinking like you do with the yokai because I don't know if that's right. And I'm like, and the thing about it is, it ties back to what other people have commented saying that like Natsume is so self-assured of himself and he's strong enough to look Matoba in the eye and say, I think what you're doing is wrong, and just outright turn him down. Whereas Notori's like, ooh, if I let you in though, if I start to understand you, I might get on your side. And I don't know if I want to do that. It's just so good. It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. It's like when you have a friend who you find out does something horrible, but that person you know is such a nice, genuine person, but they've made a mistake and did something wrong. And you have to be the middle person to hear both sides of the story. And now you're like, well, who do I side with? Do I side with the friend that I know is a human and has made errors? Or do I side with the person that's the victim that they clearly are human too? It makes things so complicated. And and so I think Notori's whole thing is he's like, I don't want complications. I'm just going to take a step back because I don't want to get involved. And it just, Lou Alba, your comment was everything. I really, really loved that. So thank you for making that comment. And then finally with episode 9, we're going to shift gears past Matoba and Notori because I think we could talk about them all day. But, and I hope we get to see more of them in the future. Who knows? It's the season finale, but... Sunspot says for episode 9, the conversation between Shone and Mitsuzahara was interesting. Shone apologizing for his kindness. And I feel like with that, the god in that episode was mainly, they felt like them being kind was doing a disservice to Mitsuzahara because it's like, my kindness, I can't, keep paying you back forever. So eventually you're going to have to leave and it's going to make our goodbyes even harder, before the ending of the episode. And I feel like that kind of could translate to Madara with Natsume, to Natsume with the yokai. You could translate it a lot of different ways about the fault of kindness, like the cruelty of kindness sometimes, that kindness will make it harder to say goodbye later. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, Sunspots also said, I found Madara's behavior very curious in this episode. I agree he's grown so much over the seasons. In that moment when Madara prevented Mitsuzahara from confessing, I'm wondering what the balance was in terms of doing it to protect Natsume's feelings versus protecting Mitsuzahara's reputation, in a sense. Early Madara would not have cared about either. And now I think he cared a bit about the yokai as well. I love that because yes, early Madara wouldn't have gave two shits about either of them. But here, Madara not only wants to protect Natsume, but he also cares a little bit about Mitsuzahara as well, which it's like Natsume's care is rubbing off on Madara. And it's not just for Natsume, it's for the yokai as well, which I think is so good. Yes. So y'all. I honestly, these last several episodes, last week, I can't wait to hear the Toko comments. I can't wait to see, because Toko and Shigeru, they just have my heart to no extent. But what a great way this season has rounded out, and now we're on the final episode. I'm excited for this final episode of season 5. I hope you all are as well, but we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to start episode 11 of season 5, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. I don't know. I worry a little bit because the internet is looking to be a little shoddy this evening, and I'm like, why, internet? Why you got to do this? It's not storming. It's a little warm outside, but why? So if this episode like edits in places, that's why. I just got online and noticed that, and I was like, what we doing, show? I can't believe we're already on the final episode of the season, though. I know I've gave this OP a hard time, especially compared to the other OPs, but I don't mind it. I do like this song a lot, and the visuals are fine. Anytime they repeat visuals from other seasons, I'm like, aw, but like this here, this is great. I don't mind this at all. I like this. Aw, and Natsume and Madara looking at each other like, come on. That's super cute. Aw. And we've just gotten everybody pretty much throughout the season. Sasada, is she even still here? Aw. Aw. I like that Madara has all this stuff on his face. Cute. All right. Who are these two doing? Don't get crazy. Don't tempt it. Tess. Aw. He's actually going to school. Yeah, no, let's let him have a great week. Let's let him have a great day. Come on now. Shirikiri. Just repeating what he says. Kind of like the cherry blossoms, maybe? Maybe? Is that all he does is repeat it? Maybe he does. Oh. Oh, man. Oh, and Tana's at the forefront, like, get out of the way. Oh, man. At least they waited till he said goodbye to Tanama and them. Oh, final exams. Who's this teacher? Hot for teacher. Sasada, you're not here. Not really. This guy looks like he could be Shigeru's drinking buddy. Did you have Midorima's lucky pencil? Oh, no! Oh, my God. I'm lucky. I love that laugh. Oh, is it? We have to have our quota of showing a female character every now and then. It's not a total sausage fest in Natsume's Book of Boyfriends. Look at them and their little coats. Oh. Oh. Yes. Go to another hot spring. Oh. Does he still? Yeah, not good. Oh, you could. That's not real. Fake news. We just had to let everybody know that Taki's still around. Oh! Okay, so is this back? Did we go back in the past and then we came back here? Interesting. Huh? Oh my God. They are kind of like Madara from the earlier seasons. Oh. So to show you and cure your ignorance. Oh my God. Oh no. I'm glad that Tanama didn't see him floating in midair. Oh my God, like that. Oh my God. He's like, I know y'all mean well, but oh my God. Where is Madara? Basically. Ooh. And he's been sweating. Oh, damn it, you're gonna make yourself sick. Oh my God, no. I would be like, hell no. Oh, well, that is pretty. That's pretty. Nice, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's really sweet. Oh my God. You just basically are having another excuse to drink. Truly selfish. How is he selfish? He's not drinking your booze. He's the opposite. Oh, well, here we go. Oh. Some sake in my hand will help you do that. Take care of that right now. Oh. Oh, shit. No, you're not. Madara's like, what you been doing? What you been doing, boy? Oh. I mean, are you worried about that, Madara? Oh. Madara's gonna be like, you wouldn't have got sick if you hadn't gone with those yokai. Tanama's like, where is he? Oh. Tanama's like, was it a yokai? Look at him! Is Madara gonna get onto them? Oh my God, I love the Kappa's there too. Ah, ephemeral nature. Oh, it's been 2 days. Whoa! It was your doing! It's ugly! Oh. Now he's got a cold. Oh, Madara cares about such things now. Oh. Well, that's a raccoon or a boar that have fur. Oh my god. Ah! Oh, Wimpy. Oh. Well, it is kind of your deal, even though they were beautiful. Utsuno. Utsuno. Oh. Beaver reducing. Ah! Oh, that crag is pretty, Oh. What? What is this? Oh, shit. It's like if Matoba was a sea serpent dragon yokai. Oh my god. Shit! Oh, okay. Do my dirty work, bitch, and I'll make you a drug. Oh no. Well. Ah! They gave up so easily. Damn. Oh. He's really sick. Oh shit. Oh. Poor Natsume. Oh. Oh. Oh, bitch, that is scary. I see faces in it. We'll talk about this in discussion. But yeah. How many of them were yokai? Oh my god. Oh, long hair Natsume also we'll talk about in the discussion. Oh. Mm. Yeah. And possibly hallucinating. Oh, eggnog. I was like, did Shigeru give you the sake to give him? Eggnog is interesting. What is this exactly? Huh. Interesting. Oh. Oh, she's like, oh. Oh. She's like, but this lets me be a mom. I love how this connects to the last episode. Perfect. It's so seamless. Oh, they didn't give up. They didn't give up. Oh, yay. Oh. Oh my god. So many. Oh. I was like, oh, if the booze doesn't work, we'll hit him with the fruit. Get the vitamin C in them. I don't know if strawberries have vitamin C, actually. Uh-huh. Man, this is so timely. I'm glad I didn't feel like Natsume. Oh. Oh. I don't like having like a purple hue. Aww. Oh shit. Is this hallucination or a dream? Oh my god. Uh-huh. Yeah, this has to be a dream. Oh my god, I love it. Yes. I love it. Inoue and Benio. Ah! The glasses and the tie! Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah! Fishes! Oh my god, they look like the delinquents! Yes! Yes! Reiko. You delinquent failure of a student! Oh, Reiko. Interesting. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh. Ooh. Interesting. And like what he thinks about her. But we don't know if that's accurate or not. That's just his vision of her justification. Oh, wow. Oh my god, why is there a ferret weasel yokai here? I'm sick, bitch. I'm old Greg. No. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh. Oh. Oh, they kept working all through the night. Oh my god. I'm a bull though. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh shit. Tom was like, I can't have that. Tom was like, I will be going first, thank you, and I'll be the only one that needs to go. Of course you will! You took that top spot! You go to cram school. I'm the lead boyfriend. Let's go. No, Sasada. Is Taki gonna be a cock block? Oh. They worked so hard to get it. Oh, Madara. Oh, you. Oh, you. Mm-hmm. Oh, bless. I'm sure Madara would say the same. I'm sure. Oh. Look at that. Look at all the work they did. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, it was a bit. Usually we haven't seen Natsume down for the count like that. Tanama's like, let me go first. Aw. Aw. I was gonna have to come and put the cold compress on you myself. Invite him in for dinner, yes! Yes! Hell yes! But Tana was like, I will be the one to hand deliver it. Good. Give Taki some credit. He's like, I'll bring it to him. Aww. I was wondering if he would bring it up because he's the one to bring it up. Well, but it was caused. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Ooh, interesting. Oh, interesting. Sure, you can use that as a veiled excuse. Yes. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how to protect them. Mm-hmm. I was wondering if he'd go back to this. Wow, what a great way to bookend this. Mm. Oh, what's he gonna say to that? Oh. Yeah. Oh, Madara, you would open your eyes right then. Yes. Oh. Oh, look at him. Well, you could, but someday I hope you can. Oh my God, what a great, that's such a progress there. Was it just a placebo? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, but the placebo and the talisman and just his body healing. Ooh. Oh, wow. Oh. Wow. Holy shit. And they still cared about him for that. Oh my gosh. This was a great season finale. Soft, poignant, heartfelt, just like the season. Oh. Hmm. Oh, all the flowers. What a stupid guy. Oh. Oh. Oh, wow. Oh. You're not going to give me a cry show? No, no. No, not in the final 5 seconds. Not in the final 5 seconds. No. No. How dare you? How dare that show try that? How dare it? Gonna spit everywhere. Oh, I'm gonna miss this ED. Maybe the OP. Maybe the OVAs that I'm gonna watch the next couple weeks will have the same OP and ED, but oh. Oh. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Oh. Oh. Beautiful. This season finale was great. Season 5, you were amazing. Season 4 and 5 are my favorites so far. I think season 5 might be my favorite. I think season 5 might be my favorite. Oh, damn. Wow, and there's no preview because it's the end of the season. Oh, I'm glad my internet held up for that. And I'm not going to lie, I was really worried starting this reaction because my internet was being a little bit slow loading up. And I was like, oh, is this going to be one of those episodes where it just like lags and I have to restart it over and over again during the reaction? But no, I didn't, which was great. So I was like, yes, but damn. I actually really enjoyed that season finale. And I know what some people are going to say. They're going to be like, well, it wasn't a thrilling, like, action-packed season finale. No, that's not what Natsume needs to be. I think that one of the big things about Natsume is that it's such a subtle, quiet series, but things build in such interesting ways. And the way that this built to this finale and what Natsume has come to realize and what we're going to talk about is just so, so good. So ephemeral, if you're wondering. It means lasting for a very short time. And that's been kind of hinted at with all the yokai, especially Madara, over the course of this series. The idea of time being fleeting and that the yokai are around for so long, but humanity is around for such little pockets of time. It's definitely been noticeable throughout the series that the yokai talk about that. And we've seen Madara kind of have a reaction to it. But to see it on display in this episode was so good. So I want to talk about it, but there were a lot of really good things about this episode. I liked that the mid ranks are just like, oh, Natsume and his test. We haven't seen him at all. And I love the idea that over the course of this series in 5 seasons, we've seen these yokai go from wanting to torment Natsume or just bother him or bug him or tease him to genuinely loving him and genuinely feeling for him. And it kind of takes me back to the episode where we have Taki's grandfather and the yokai came to visit him when he died. And the yokai were like, we just wanted to see him again. Like, it's just, they still mask it as, well, we just want to tease him. And it's no fun when he's not around. He's not entertainment. But there's the underlying of, no, you really do care about him, but you don't want to say it. And it's just, oh, it's so good. It's so good. So the whole thing is about these damn shirikiri flowers that bloom that they want to take Natsume to go see. And something else about the yokai that is so appreciative, and I think Natsume kind of, another reason why he appreciates them is that they are so dedicated and enamored by nature and what seems to be so ephemeral, so temporary, but it's still beautiful. And I think that Natsume appreciates the little finer simplicities of life like the yokai do. And I think that's something else that he might have in common with them. But yeah, so the friends that Natsume has, and Tanama is at the forefront. I did not expect this to be a Tanama episode with Natsume, but it sure was. And I was glad to see it because Tanama is the lead boyfriend. He's, it's funny now that we've had the comments talking about the similarities between Matoba and Tanama and Natsume and Notori. Do I think that Matoba would shove someone aside if it meant he could be at the forefront with Notori? I kind of think it does. I kind of think he would. And I think that Tanema kind of is like, we're just lucky that Tanema's not evil. We're lucky Tanema did not go to the dark side, or he could turn into a Matoba. I really think he could, because I wanted to talk about it at the very end with that conversation he has with Natsume, so we'll wait till we get to that point. But Tanema is one lab accident away from being an exorcist, and he could put Matoba on par, I think, perhaps, but I mean, not in terms of spiritual power, but in terms of how dedicated he is to the people he cares about. But we'll talk about that when we get to that ending scene. But yeah, I like Natsume just kind of, worrying about normal school things like the exams and everything. I'm sorry, but anytime Sasada is on screen, I will not miss the opportunity to point out that no, she's not. She doesn't exist in the manga anymore. And why they keep inserting her in as the token vagina is beyond me, but here she is. I almost choked on that coffee. I'm sorry if token vagina was too much, but I do think that it baffles me. She disappeared in the manga in season 1 material, and they keep her around. I'm like, just let her move away. Let her move away. But I guess Taki can't be the only girl. Heaven forbid. So we have to have another girl, which is fine. I don't mind Sasada. It's just so funny because it's not canon, and I think that that's hilarious. Also, this teacher, maybe it's because I'm about to enter my late 30s, but I'm like, he could get it. Him and Shigeru could be drinking buddies. Shigeru, y'all know how I feel about Shigeru. But yeah, I feel like it is fun to see Natsume kind of show his more, his flaws where he didn't study the proper things. And, you have Nijimura talking about cram school and everything. Like, it's fun just to see Natsume be a normal person, right? And then they all go home together with their distinct matching but not matching coats. They talked about doing something over winter break, but I'm kind of glad that they all had plans, because I think Natsume would have felt bad if he had intended to go with them and hang out like at a hot springs or something, and then the yokai got him sick by taking him up to see the flowers. I think that would have been an unnecessary angst that this episode could have done. So I'm glad when they chose to not do it. I'm glad. And of course, yeah, a Sasada has to just be there being like, maybe I'll invite Taki. And it's like, you're not real. You're not really there, Sasada. So yeah, so Natsume ends up being cornered by the yokai, who drag him up the hill. And of course, Natsume can't say no, because he's like, sure, I'll come see. They kind of just don't give him the option of saying no. They just drag him off to the rocks and take him up there. Now, granted, the flowers were beautiful, but he didn't bring a coat, and he ends up getting sick. Which I do appreciate that Natsume is kind to the yokai, and he thanks them, being like, you did bring me up here because you thought I would appreciate it just as much as you all did. I didn't know about these, so now I do. Again, Natsume appreciates a lot in nature that I think other people would overlook, because he appreciates the beauty of it, especially given his past and in other circumstances where he's kind of been denied quiet beauty. So I get it. I get where he's coming from and why he'd be okay with the yokai. Of course, the yokai are just treating it as an opportunity to get drunk. These yokai are like middle-aged pseudo-alcoholic parents that are like, come on, kid, let's go to have fun at the park. There's a siesta going on. It's like, you guys just want an excuse to get drunk. What is this? Which Madara follows suit. I love they call him selfish when Natsume is the one that's... Natsume's not drinking your booze. He's the opposite of selfish. Madara is what you're thinking about in terms of being selfish. But then he gets sick, right? And I really love that this episode tied together the Toko and Shigeru episode from last week, where Toko was talking about how, she didn't want Natsume to be sick like he was, but she also was like, it's very rare for me to have an opportunity to kind of play mom and play, which she is his mom. His foster mom, essentially. But the idea of her being able to take care of a sick kid is not something she's used to. And so it connects back to last week's episode where she was, didn't have the opportunity to be a mom to a kid until now with Natsume. So it all just ties together really well. I love Shigeru just being like, with that sake being like, I got something for you. Now, Madara is so intriguing throughout this episode. As per usual, he notices that Natsume's sick and he's like, how'd you get sick? And again, Madara saying you always get sick. Now at this point, I was thinking, okay, is Madara, worried about Natsume? Is this tying back to the fact that Natsume's family dies young? Again, we talked about this in previous episodes. Natsume getting sick is because he was tending to the yokai and what they wanted him to do. So Natsume was doing stuff for the yokai and it got him sick. And so Madara is kind of being like, well, you keep doing these things for the yokai and it's going to get you sick to the point where you can't heal yourself and you might end up dying. He's like, I'm not taking any trouble for you, which we're like, bullshit, you won't. So he talks about, so they all figure out like it's cold. I like that Tanama's worried. Again, if Tanama was not a kind-hearted person, he could easily fall into the route of Matoba, I feel. Because Tanama's smart. He figures things out. And he's like, I was wondering if you were sick. And if it was because of the yokai. Because I would have came over and did something about it. I'm like, Tanama being serious is a little scary to me. Right? So the yokai are all happy. The mid-ranks are happy. They took Natsume to see the flowers. And he had tears in his eyes. He was so overjoyed. Meanwhile, Benito and Inoue are like, I don't know about this. And then even though the flowers are pretty because of their ephemeral nature, their short-lived nature. And that's when Madara shows up being like, you bitches got him sick. And they're like, well, he's not as strong as a raccoon or a boar. What a wimp. You're so sad, Natsume-sama. But we do feel responsible. So they go to Utsuno in Yonmine to go and see if they can get this special drug to cure him. And honestly, the design of Utsuno is pretty creepy. Like, he looks like a dragon or a snake, and then he has this long, dark, scraggly, like Medusa hair, and then he has this like mask face. He kind of looks like if Hua Chong from Heaven Official's Blessing was like a snake demon. Like, he's actually kind of creepy. He's not cutesy. He's more scary creepy than anything. But he says, I'm not just going to make you this drug for nothing. I'm not in the mood. My stone lanterns collapsed after the long rains earlier. Which, what a mudslide that must have been, because these lanterns were crushed and strewn about. But he says, if you can fix the lanterns, I'll give you the medicine. And at first when they're like, oh, not happening, as soon as they look at it, I was like, oh, come on. And then when you find out they did painstakingly go back to each one and fix them, it's like, oh, okay. All right. I see how it is. I just, poor Natsume though. What timing, because I'm just now getting over my sickness I had a couple weeks ago, and Natsume had like a long sickness here. It feels very appropriate, which is so weird, but being sick for a long time sucks. I luckily did not have a fever. I just had a sinus infection, so it wasn't like a full-blown cold or a flu. I will say the last time, it's been, knock on wood, a long time since I've had the flu. I think the worst time was I was just starting out teaching, and this was like 10 years ago, but I was in my mid-20s, and I got like type C. It wasn't type A, it wasn't type B. They were like, it's some kind of type C flu, but it was in the middle of summer. Being sick in the summer sucks. It was so gross because I just had to stay inside, but then you're hot and you have a fever on top of being hot and you're just sweating profusely all the time, but then you can't eat anything or hardly drink anything. So you're dehydrated. It was just not a fun time, not having a great time with it. And I hate Natsume having to go through that. And then he connects to being a kid and getting a cold staying in a foster family's house, which, by the way, tiny little things, little tiny details. The fact that Natsume's hair had grown out, that they hadn't taken him to go to get a haircut, makes me think of like Scott Pilgrim. Like, nope. And then he saw the knots in the ceiling. Now, I'll be honest, my friend in college and I, when we were in college, my friend, he got me into this. He was like, he says, I always see faces in wood panels, like wood paneling and like floors. He's like, I see faces all the time and I can make them out. And he showed me like what they looked like. And yeah, once you train your eye to notice faces and like wood paneling and stuff like that, you can't go back. Once you start seeing the faces, you keep seeing the faces. Like, I was at my parents' the other day and there's a little spot on their cabinet in their bathroom that if you look at it a certain way, there's a face. And I see it every time I go over there and I'm like, ugh. So when Natsume seeing the faces and then at first thinking that they were hallucinations, but then it turns out it was a yokai. But the thing is, at the very end, you think it's a yokai that's trying to hurt Natsume, but then you think it's a hallucination. But then it turns out, no, it was a yokai, but they wanted to heal Natsume so that he would get better again. And it's like just the full on perspective, because that's kind of one thing that Natsume champions is the idea that the yokai are not understood. And because of that, people misunderstand and they hurt them without realizing what they actually are about. And it was such a good moment. But yeah, the faces in the wood, that's pretty terrifying. And he says, I didn't understand what they were at the time, and I was really scared. So that's kind of one of the first times we see Natsume not realizing what a yokai is. And we've always had Natsume in our peripheral with the experience of knowing what yokai are, even if he didn't like them like he did at the start of the series. But to see him back at that time without knowing what a yokai was is pretty crazy. Also, the idea that they were like heating up a tea lamp on top of the heater. I'm like, were they using it kind of as a dehumidifier as well? Or were they just literally making tea for him? Interesting. But yeah, and then Toko comes in to give him the eggnog, which I had never heard of eggnog being something. I'm going to look up eggnog medicine in Japan. I want to see what this is. Egg sake. Okay, so the Sake International Association says cold remedies from Japan. Egg sake. Interesting. Or tamago sake is a traditional home remedy drink in Japanese households. You mix the beaten egg, heated sake, and sugar and honey together. The drink soothes the sickness feeling but gives nutrients for a better recovery. Even though it's an alcoholic drink, they are sometimes given to children as well. Interesting. Do not get sick, but if you do, you can try this traditional Japanese remedy drink. You might feel better with the rich and smooth taste of heated egg sake. Interesting. That's so curious. Here's the thing. I'm kind of very Western with my enjoyment of sake. I really only like I like sweet drinks. So I like plum sake, but it has to be hot plum sake. If it's cold, it's like bleh. But I like heated up plum sake. It kind of tastes like a wine, which is what it is. But I've had pear sake before, and I was like, And I've had regular sake before, and I'm like, But it has to be the pear. So I don't know. I don't know if I would try that one because I don't really care for the taste of regular sake. But also, eggs terrify me. I've talked about this with Dungeon Meshi with Delicious in Dungeon because I do some cooking on that series for that channel, for that show on the channel. And I'm always terrified of eggs because I'm so afraid of getting food poisoning that like the idea of them curdling or not properly, like I can make meringue and I can make scrambled eggs like an omelet, but the idea of doing like a hollandaise sauce or doing like anything that's like over easy, I'm always afraid it's going to be food poisoning central. So I would be afraid if I tried to do the beaten eggs, it would turn out to be like a custard or like a curdle or something gross. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So, have you had egg sake or eggnog? If you have, comment down below. But yeah, poor Natsume, feeling under the weather. It sucks. I'm glad it's not the flu because then it'd be contagious. We don't need Toko and Sugar getting sick over here. And that's when she talks about taking care of her child's fever. And even that is ephemeral because if you think about it, parents only take care of their kids when they're sick at that age for a very short amount of time. I mean, sure, a parent can take care of a kid when they're adults. I mean, I've been sick before, like with a cold or, run down and my mother's come over with like, she's brought me, Sprite before or like some drinks with electrolytes and food. And I've just been like, thank you. So, parents still do that for their kids even when they're full-blown adults in their 30s, but it's not quite the same as taking care of a kid. Also, strawberries for a cold. I'm curious because I had never thought about this. They do have a lot of vitamin C, so that is very true. But yeah, it can help reduce cold length and severity of symptoms. I'd never heard of strawberries being a thing. Usually we think of oranges when we think of vitamin C, but interesting about strawberries. I liked that it looks like they were mixed with cream. That's really cool. And of course, I feel bad. I knock on wood, when I get sick, the worst thing that I'm lucky in the sense that when I get sick, I don't usually have nausea a lot, which is good, but I get headaches, like really intense headaches, and those suck. So I felt bad for Natsume, especially when he's like telling Madara to be more quiet. Madara's trying to cheer him up in a way, being like, oh, get more sick so I can get all the eggnog and have the strawberries. Natsume's like, I have to get better, which being sick sucks. People are like, oh, you get a sick day. I'm like, no, being sick sucks. You can't do anything. And you just feel bad. So, of course, getting better is great. And plus, he wants to go see his friends. I loved the dream, though. The dream sequence where we have Natsume seeing all the yokai in school uniforms. I like Benito and Inoue. They looked great. But Sensei with the glasses and the little tie, adorable. Adorable. And then he sees, I love this, like, Sensei with the sunglasses and the purple trench coat saying, I love fish heads on it. And then you see Benito and Inoue as, like, the delinquents. It's, like, straight out of Fruits Basket. And then you have, with the mask, it's so 90s. I love it. I love it. It's great. And then he sees Reiko, the one little yokai that knows Reiko. And he looks up and she says, if you're alone, you don't have to protect them, right? I wonder, here's the thing about that scene. Natsume has this dream with Reiko saying, if you're alone, you don't have to protect them, right? I feel like Natsume at this point in time believes that Reiko stuck by herself and kept alone because then she didn't have to worry about having to protect anyone, which is kind of sort of like Notori and what he does in a sense, where if you just stay by yourself, you don't have to worry about anybody being in danger because you're just on your own like a loner. But the thing is, that is Natsume's projection of Reiko. That is not the actual Reiko. So it could very well be, I feel like Madara knows more about Reiko, but he's not letting on because he doesn't want to talk about it. So I feel like Natsume is just showing us his projection of her because when she turns back, she looks even more like him than usual. But I don't think that's what Reiko actually was doing. We could assume that maybe she was keeping to herself to protect others. But here's the thing. I, one, don't think she had the same support network that Natsume does now. And two, she ran away so far as we know. So she didn't maybe have to think that because she just avoided the thought altogether. But two, she clearly had a daughter. So she clearly cared about somebody to an extent, we think. So I feel like there's a lot more to this that Natsume doesn't know about yet, but he's just projecting how he believes Reiko is. And does he think the same way as he thinks she did or not? Now, the ferret yokai that shows up to get their names removed, that was such a crazy design. What a crazy design. Not cutesy, though. Just a little creepy. Natsume's like, I'm glad Natsume didn't give him his name back because I'm like, you don't have time for that. You're sick. No. I feel bad that Natsume's gotten worse, though. Bless his heart. So everybody's trying to help Natsume. The two mid-rank yokai are putting the lanterns back together. Tanama's like, I do like the one yokai's joke of being like, we need more horsepower, but I'm a bull. Classic. So yeah, and then Sasada, who's not canon, is over here being like, well, I just don't know if Natsume's going to show up the rest of the semester. And Tanama's like, over my dead body, he's not. I am glad that Taki had the idea of getting the talisman to give him, but Tanama's like, I'll be taking that, and I'll take that to him right now. The book of boyfriends. Tanama's like, I will be the first to visit him, and that is that. So the two mid-rank yokai put all of the stone lanterns back together to get him the medicine. And of course, Madara's okay with him taking it because Madara probably knew that it was a placebo and it wasn't actually going to work on him. It was just a bitter tasting water. It didn't have any medicinal purposes. But aside from it being a placebo, it could also be Natsume's body is actually healing, in time. And also the talisman that Taki and the others give. So it's just a conjunction of things together, but they all made for a perfect storm of Natsume getting to feel better, which was really sweet. I loved that. They say good medicine tastes bitter. Mm-hmm. Which, bittersweet moments, things like that. Like him saying, oh, we need to keep Natsume healthy because we can't lose his entertainment value. I hope he gets better soon. Yeah, they're not fooling anybody, right? So Natsume gets to feeling better. I love that they show him eating like the porridge, the rice porridge with like a little bit of veggies, a little bit of turkey or chicken in it. That's the way you got to do. You got to do that brat, right? You got to do bread, rice, applesauce, and like what's the other one? It's like turkey. It's like you got to keep things super simple and bland so they can hold in your stomach. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So then Tanuma comes over and gets invited to dinner like he's the damn boyfriend because he kind of is. And then, oh, I love that Madara's like, oh, we went to a shrine and got you this little talisman that prevents sickness. Aw. And that's when he says, you were caught up in something weird involving the yokai again, weren't you? And Natsume says, oh no, it's just straight up cold. I mean, I got it because of the yokai, but it was just a cold. He's like, if this involved yokai, I thought I might not be able to help you. I thought I was the only one, so I said I would go because he's like, I'm the only one that can really see that can help you. I mean, Taki could too if she had the circle, but this kind of reminds me a bit like Matoba. Matoba is very straightforward, and Matoba would be like, well, I'm the only person that can do this. I'm the only person that can stop this yokai, so I'm going to do it. That's a very Tanuma-like way of thinking, where Tanuma's like, well, I'm the only one that can really help you, so I was going to come over here and do it myself. Those are very similar lines of thinking. The difference is that Matoba has the power to back up what he's doing and can see the yokai and is not afraid to pull the damn trigger on the bow and arrow. Whereas Tanuma is a little different, not just in that he can't see yokai, but that I believe he would not pull the trigger as quickly as Matoba. I think he would listen to what Natsume wanted and incorporate him a little bit more in the decision making. But there are aspects of Tanuma that are very similar to Matoba that I'm like, yeah, you would protect Natsume if you could. And that's when Natsume talks about, ever since I came here to the Fujiwaras, I've gained so much that I care about. I love that he tells Tanuma about this, because here's the thing. Getting perspective is so important. And Natsume talking with someone and getting that perspective is really important. And I love that. I think that you need to do that. So that's really, really smart. I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And Natsume's like, I want to tell you about Reiko and about the dream I had and what she had told me in the dream. And I like that he says that. And then, but just like the people who I want to protect and how they've helped me. And then he like clinches the talisman. He says, without me ever knowing it, I'm sure there are friends around her who cared about her. And here's the thing. This show is such a damn tease. As soon as Natsume's like, well, I'm sure that Reiko had friends who cared about her. She wasn't really alone. I was just projecting that. As soon as he says that, Madara opens up his eye and looks at the camera like, oh, who? Me? Was I someone that cared about Reiko? Who knows? Show. How dare you? How dare you? Mm-hmm. And he's like, just having somebody I can talk about is such a big help. Yes. Knowing that you're not alone, knowing you could talk to people, that's such a huge thing. And Tanuma's like, well, I'm happy to help. So the Book of Boyfriends, I freaking love it. And then we have Inoue with all of them being like, well, this medicine that you all gave to Natsume doesn't work on humans. And they're like, what? We did all that work. Like, doing stuff for humans is stupid. I'll never doing again. And then Natsume has a little talisman beside him, which is adorable. And then we see from the perspective the one yokai that says tiny ephemeral one. Mm-hmm. It says get better soon. This episode was filled with creepy yokai. This was not a cutesy yokai episode. Between the snake yokai and between this creepy wood yokai that's like if Groot was on acid, they were not cutesy. They were creepy this episode. But just because they're creepy doesn't mean they weren't trying to do good things. And Natsume says, now that I can notice things I didn't notice before, that gives me problems I wouldn't otherwise have. But sometimes it can be rough, but it's better than passing by without ever noticing. I love that. I love that Natsume's, it's such a different perspective from season one. Season one, Natsume's like, I wish I couldn't see these yokai. I wish I didn't have to deal with them. I wish I could just see, I didn't have to see all the things that I see. And now you end season 5 with Natsume going, yeah, being able to see yokai makes things more complicated, but I'd be missing out on so much if I couldn't see them. How far our boy has come. And to have that good luck charm on one side of him and Madara on the other, the lucky cat. And like, should we bring him some flowers? And then, yeah, they bring him flowers. And I love that ending scene where they toss the flowers at him being like, what a stupid guy. But no, we're the idiots. And it is, they toss down the flowers. I love it. We know the flower's petals will fall someday. And they show Madara right as they say that. Like, Madara knows Natsume is not going to live forever. He's like, I know this time is fleeting with him, but yet still, we're entranced by them. We know Natsume is not going to live forever, but we're entranced by him nonetheless. Oh, my heart. My absolute heart. Oh. And then, of course, we get the ED, which is such a beautiful ED. The song for the ED, I think, is my favorite song. It's so funny. I don't mind season 5's OP song, but the OP for this season was probably my least favorite. But yet the ED song is my favorite. And the ED graphics, I think season 2 or season 3 is my favorite. But the song is so good. It's just so good. Aimer does it, which is great. So what a way to end season 5. I thought this was a beautiful episode. I honestly cannot wait for your thoughts and comments down below now that we're concluding season 5. In terms of seasons 1 through 5, is this season really good? Is it your favorite? Do you like seasons 1 through 4 better? Don't tell me about season 6 or 7. If season 6 or 7 are your favorites, I don't want to hear about it yet. We'll save that. Of the 5 seasons we've had so far, of the 5, which are your favorite? And we'll just wait to hear about season 6 and season 7 when we get to them. So in the meantime, we're going to do some OVAs next couple weeks, which I'm really excited. Y'all know I love a good OVA. So I'll be excited to tap into the manga for Natsume's Book of Friends and talk about that alongside the OVA. And then we'll get into season 6 probably. What a world. So in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah. I'll be back very soon with more Natsume's Book of Friends. Bye.